Hello everyone, I'm Brock, the curly man behind curlymancomics, and today I'm going to be doing a What's in the Drawer episode. I'm going to open up one of these filing cabinet drawers and see what my collection is inside. So let's see what is inside this filing cabinet. Got Bad Blood #1. This is about like a high schooler that has cancer and then he starts having to deal with vampires. Really awesome series. If you're a huge fan of watercolor art like I am, definitely check this out. And it looks like I have the whole run. It was a 5-issue run. It's really awesome looking covers. That one. Stab someone on that one. Okay, and we have Battle Pope #2. I have Battle Pope #1 somewhere else in my room, but it's basically Robert Kirkman's first work. He did The Walking Dead, but this is a lot more raunchy. It's about a buff pope that's hooking up with a bunch of women and killing a bunch of people, and he's dealing with stupid Jesus. So if you're really strict on religion, I wouldn't check this book out, but it's a really fun read. Bitch Planet, about a bunch of women that get sent off to a planet that's a prison and they have to fight and try and figure their way out. Really good series also. Black Road, this is a Viking book, so if you like Vikings, check this out. Cannibal, I don't remember too much about the series, but I'm going to guess it's about cannibals trying to kill people. It's pretty straightforward. Catwoman, When in Rome. Okay, so this has some really weird art to it. That's why I liked it, but it's basically Catwoman is going off to Rome to try and figure out some stuff going on with mob bosses and stuff, but it's a really fun read. It's got almost all of the Batman villains in it. This is a little book I got by Daniel Warren Johnson at a convention. He also did Extremity, which is about like an artist that gets her hand cut off and she's in a fantasy world and she's fighting different tribes. Really fun story, I'd definitely check it out. But this must be a little tiny run. I'm pretty sure he signed it inside also. He's a super nice guy if you meet him at a convention. Okay, now I have a couple criminal comics. As I mentioned in my last video, if you haven't watched it, go and check it out. But there's a bunch of different run of criminal. It's about a bunch of criminals dealing with their daily lives or getting killed or whatever is going on in their life. That one. This is from another run of criminal. Another run of criminal. There's plenty of them out there. They just finished their newest one. So if you like criminal, there's plenty to read. Just keep them coming. Oh, looks like I got another one on this side. This is #1 of the newest run. It's covering them. I think this is the father of the main characters throughout most of the series. Kind of finding out why they got into the hard life they are. Daredevil #1 by Chip Zdarsky. Really awesome art in this series. I'm just starting, well not just starting, I've read up to issue like 110 of the old Daredevil comics. I'm trying to read them all because I got into this and I wanted to check out the old ones. See it? Yeah, Darkhawk #1. This was a character I read a long time ago. I don't remember too much about him, but he's kind of a fan favorite for a bunch of people. De-Evolution. I still have to get #1, but this has really weird, funky art in it. It's basically about people are de-evolving into like caveman monster kind of people. The main character has to fight them off and also survive. Kind of like a post-apocalyptic story. Here's another cover from that series. Another one. Whoa, drop it. Die, Die, Die. This is another Robert Kirkman series about some kind of like assassin group. It was supposed to be a big hit. I don't think it's his best work, but definitely dark humor, kind of like Battle Pope as I mentioned earlier, so if you like that, check it out. This run I haven't read, but these covers just looked awesome. So I will go through those really quick. That really cool painterly style to them. Can't remember the artist. Del Mundo. That's who it is. Yeah, I kind of got into a kick with his art, so I bought all of his covers that I could find at my local comic shop. I don't know. A lot of people don't like them. I think they're pretty interesting. But then again, I kind of like that sloppy, ugly looking art. I don't think this is ugly at all. It'd be hard to argue that this is ugly, but... Okay, then we have... Whoa, dropping all my comics. 1 second. Okay, we have 1 through 8 of Fatale. Pretty sure I bought this at a Half Price Books. I haven't read this series yet, but it's an Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips series, which they really don't disappoint, so definitely gonna have to check that one out. Fear Agent. Looks like a set of 4 comics. The artist for this series, I haven't read this series either, but Tony Moore basically is what got me into comics. I might talk about my origin story in a different series. So let me know if that's something you guys would want to know. I would love to know your guys' origin stories, because I feel like they're always pretty funny. Gamora, number 1. I think I have a couple of these. Really fun series. I would really like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and Gamora was definitely a character that I really enjoyed. So I picked up this run. Some cool covers again, kind of that painterly, dusty look. God Country, number 2. I just sent off one of these for CGC. I think I got it back already in my first video that I made. So if you guys like CGC unboxings, I know I definitely liked unboxing those. I'd definitely check that out. Grass Kings number 1, another comic I mentioned in my last video for my top 10 must-read comics. It's about these people living out in the middle of the nowhere, dealing with murderers, serial killers, people trying to take over their land. So this is a Mark Millar book. I know Netflix is possibly looking at doing a Millarverse or Millarverse. So this is about a guy that's basically a hunky-dory guy that's super jacked and can do anything and kind of helps out his neighborhood. Huck. Then I have the other cover of Huck. Hulk Verines. This is just a fun run. Not a serious read at all, but yeah. Hulk, Wolverine, Weapon H, all just fighting it out. Got the whole run of that. An amazing Tony Moore cover. Gosh, it's so good. So cool. Number 3. I think it was only 3 issues. I'm pretty sure. I would have had all of them, so it must have been. Invincible, another Robert Kirkman series. Kind of noticed the trend. I really like his stuff. So this is Invincible 37. It's only $1, so why not pick it up? Kill the Minotaur. Okay, so this is about, basically, it's back in Greek times, and there's this kid that has to go to this village and kill the Minotaur. He kind of gets drafted. I think they kind of stopped this one early, if I remember right. It was a really cool series. I remember having to shop around to find it because they didn't have it at my local comic shop. But I think it went to like 5 issues. Maybe they're looking to bring it back eventually. But another Skybound comic, which Robert Kirkman is in charge of. So if you guys haven't been paying attention to Skybound comics, I'd definitely check them out. This is like a Walking Dead homage cover. Oh, looks like there's more than 5. It was a 6-issue run. The Legacy of Luther Strode. There's a bunch of different Luther Strode runs. It's basically this kid finds this book and he reads it, and all of a sudden he gets super buffed and jacked and is amazing at fighting and someone else is trying to read the book and use it for evil purposes. Really weird, cool series. So definitely check it out. Looks like I've got another Luther Strode. I think there's 3 runs of it. It's like the Legend of Luther Strode, the Legacy of Luther Strode, something else Luther Strode. You'd have to check it out. Moon Knight. So this is a book that's kind of catching some steam now. Possibly going to be a TV show, I think. I'm not all that up on it. I used to be really into Moon Knight, and then I kind of died off of it, but people kind of compare him to like Marvel's version of Batman. I think it's a little more deep than that. He's got like split personalities and everything, so oh, looks like a Luther Strode got out of order in there. Nailbiter number 1. This is the 2nd print. I mentioned this in my last video, so definitely check out my last video. Serial killers kind of running a town and cops and police trying to stop them and figure it out. A guy eating people's fingernails all the way down to their palm, eating their whole fingers. Another issue of that. Number 2. Orphanage. This is, oh man, I can't remember this one too much. I think it's about a group of orphans living during like an apocalyptic time. I met the artist, the writer for this at a local comic convention. Really nice guy. Kind of seeing the trend here. Another Robert Kirkman series. I'm a huge fan of his. It basically follows these people doing exorcisms and dealing with demons and stuff. I believe they made 1 season of it for a TV show. Planet Hulk. Basically Hulk running a planet. I got these more for the covers though. Some more Del Mundo covers. Dinosaur on that one. This cover, it's really cool. Like a puppet master of all these Hulks working in a quarry or something like that. Really cool. Another one. Yeah, Prodigy. This is a Mark Millar comic. They're kind of talking about doing a bunch of his work for Netflix. Basically, it's this guy right here. He's just perfect at everything. Everything he does, he picks it up really fast. He's amazing at it. So it's basically following him and his stories. Yeah, I think they might be making this a Netflix show. I know that's one that they're definitely looking at. Rat Queens, basically kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons sort of story of these group of women that are fighting monsters and dealing with their life, drinking a lot of beer. This one's like a drug addict. It's a really fun story. I think this is the first run of Rat Queens. There's 2 runs of them. First one's better in my opinion. So if you do want to check it out, check out the first run. The Realm number 1. This is kind of another mythical sort of story. Kind of like Walking Dead, like they have a scientist and they're trying to save them to find a cure for something. But this has orcs and monsters and kind of stuff like that in it. Issue 2 of that series. It's just like Michonne, basically is Michonne. If you like Michonne, want to read her in a different series, check this one out. Number 3. Reborn, another Mark Millar. This is the one they're really specking on if it's going to be a Netflix show. I have number 1 signed somewhere hanging up in my room. But basically it's this, once you get killed you go to this different planet and you become a warrior, and she's basically been reborn as a young person now. Very interesting series. Greg Capullo art. Really great artist. More of this. It's a really short series too, so if you're interested in a quick read, check it out. Red Hood and the Outlaws. This is a Soy. Did the art for these. Really cool artist. This is number 1. The Bizarro in there. Dark comic. I basically got every one that I really liked from this run. Number 2. whether something important happened in the series or whatever it was. Another number 2, but different cover. Number 3. Bizarro was really awesome in this series. I've never read a Bizarro before, but this was my introduction to him. Let's see what we got here. Number 23, another cool cover. 24, really cool cover. Big spread. 25, fighting Batman there. This was part of the new, no, this is an annual, number 2. Savage Things. So it's kind of like a war comic, but it has a twist to it. It's another short run, so if you're looking for a quick read, check this one out. Redlands, if you like witches and cops and fighting with each other and dark story with murder, this is definitely one to check out. Scarlet I mentioned in my last video, but it's basically about this woman who's having some tough run-ins with the cops. The cops are basically corrupted, and she kind of starts this citywide riot. It's a very interesting story. Another one on the back here. This is the second run of that series. Issue number 1. Issue number 1, but a different cover. Silver Surfer Black, number 1, Donny Cates story about Silver Surfer. This is the first and only Silver Surfer story I read. It got a little confusing for me at some points, but I really enjoyed it throughout. Some really funky art. It turned some people off, but tried more. Very interesting. I went to a convention and heard him talk, and I think Donny Cates and Tradd went to the same school. And basically he went there to be an artist, and after seeing like Tradd and all these other amazing artists there, he's like, no, not for me. And he started writing the amazing series that all of us love to read. Sharky the Bounty Hunter, Space Bounty Hunter, drinks a lot, hooks up with a lot of women. Basically a raunchy story about a space guy who picks up a bunch of kids. Number 2 of that series. Another short run comic. Some really cool art. Really like digital and crosshatchy. Must have got 2 of this issue. Let's see. And the last one of that run. So it's a 6-issue run. She-Hulk. There's definitely going to be a TV show, I'm pretty sure, on this now. This was just a really cool cover found at my local comic shop in the dollar bin, so definitely pick that up. Well, looks like here's the rest of my Silver Surfer Black. I knew it was in there somewhere. These funky covers. This one, like, that's a good glimpse at what the art is going to be like in the comic. Really, really trippy art. Another one. And again, just another 5-issue run, so quick, easy story to read. Not so easy. Got a little over my head in some parts, just maybe because I'm new to Silver Surfer. Skull Kicker, this is like another basically Dungeons and Dragons kind of story. It's got the buff little troll and the big tall man with a gun. Basically rat queens, but men, essentially, fighting off a bunch of monsters. Another number 1. I think this one had 2 runs also. Sleeper. This one was very close to being on my top 10 list. Another Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips comic. This guy has really cool power. He's kind of a superhero, not really anti-hero sort of thing. And any pain that he experiences, he doesn't necessarily feel it, but if he touches someone, they feel it. So like if he got shot in the heart and then touched someone, they would get shot in the heart and die. So basically he's immortal. There's 2 runs of this also, I believe. So this is number 1 from the second run. Really cool cool story. Number 10. Space Bandits, another Millar comic about these two badass girls in space hunting down money and trying to kill off the men that have done them wrong in the past. Really, really cool comic. I think they're talking about doing more also. So the first run is complete, but you should look forward to some more. They did these really nice 75-cent variants, so it was a very cheap run to pick up. Another one. This was the last one, so a 5-issue run. Jim Henderson, The Storyteller Ghost. This is like a, how do I describe this? Kind of like a folktale in a way about this ghost child and his brother. Very interesting. It got me interested in checking out more Jim Henderson comics. Thanos number 2, my bad. Number 1 is somewhere. It's called Thanos, but it's really focusing more on Gamora as a child and getting older, so that's why I enjoyed it a lot. This was a variant cover. Number 3. Number 3, the original cover. So yeah, it's basically telling her story as a child and her rough upbringing. The Carnageized, number 4. Who's excited for the Carnage? The next Venom movie with Carnage coming out. Huge fan of Carnage. Let me know in the comments. Number 5. 6. Thief of Thieves number 1. This is a 3rd printing. Another Kirkman series about this guy that basically can steal anything he ever wants to steal. This might still be going on. I got behind on this comic, but another good one. Kirkman rarely disappoints. Velvet, another Brubaker series. This one follows like a woman spy. Number 1. It was another short series. Another number 1. If I saw it, I picked it up. I really enjoyed this run. Venom, number 1. I mentioned in my first video that I bought 2 of these, and I sent off the one that looked better. Yeah, this one has some dings on the corner. Not expecting to get a good grade, but I got a 9.8 on that thing. Wow. And signed by the artist and the writer, Donny Cates and Stegman. So another reason to check out my first video if you're interested. I have some more CGC comics coming in, so you can look forward to that. Venom First Host. So in that story, there's a character named Sleeper. He's a symbiote, and he's introduced in this run, Venom First Host. So I got this. Really cool character. By far my favorite symbiote. Be awesome if they put him in the next Venom movie. Don't think it's going to happen, but it'd be cool. It'd be really cool. Another one. This is the issue where you first see Sleeper, issue number 3. And there's a variant cover that has him on it, but that one gets pretty pricey. This is him right here. Sleeper. Really smart, interesting symbiote with some unique powers to him that I haven't seen in any other symbiotes. He can like transform into animals and stuff. Wanted. This comic is basically like if Slim Shady became a badass and started killing people. The main character literally looks just like Eminem. Another Millar comic, so maybe they'll make it into something something good. I believe they made a movie for it. Didn't really follow it at all. We Stand on Guard. This is another, I have the whole run in this pack. This is another comic that was very close to being in my top 10 comics. It's basically Canada at war with the US. It's a Brian K. Vaughan series. So the same guy that did Why Last Man. Really, really good. A lot of death, a lot of sad things happening in that comic, but that's another comic. If I see number 1 anywhere, I pick it up. The Woods, I mentioned in my first video. It's about these kids that their whole school gets transported, and then they have to try and survive out in this area with creatures and monsters, and kids getting weird powers while they're out there. Another number 1, another comic I just pick up if I find it. Number 3, and that's a tiny comic. So he's the guy doing the latest run of Batman, which is really blowing up, and also Something is Killing the Children. which they're talking about making something for. Why Last Man? I have 2 number 1s. I think they might be some that I sent off to CGC. We'll find out. But yeah, number 2. This was a huge bundle that I got at Half Price Books. And they had like the first 15. I think they were asking like dirt cheap for it. Number 3. That was definitely one of my best finds I've ever had. So I'll just flip through these fast. I believe this is the last group of comics I have in here. Number 5. Number 6. So yeah, basically what this comic is about, if you haven't read it, I know it's a very popular comic now, but it's an apocalypse where all of the men die, except for the main character, Yorick, and his male monkey. And he's kind of like an escape artist, and it basically follows him dealing with what's going on in the world, meeting friends, trying to find his girlfriend, secret spy agents. It's a very, very interesting comic. I would definitely check it out. Huge comic. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to make a show or movie for it. I mean, that's kind of a hit and miss though. Let me know what you think about making comics into shows and movies, if it's something you stand by. I'm not typically the person that's like, oh no, I don't want anyone else to know about this comic that I love. But sometimes it gets like that for me. Like Sweet Tooth that they're making into a TV show. I just really hope they do it good. It's by far my favorite comic. Maybe I'll go over like a tattoo haul, if any of you guys are curious what my tattoos are. But I have a Sweet Tooth comic on there. So it's kind of been my secret comic that a lot of people knew about, but it wasn't huge. We'll see what they make out of it. I'm not going to be that person where no one else can know about my favorite comic, because it's a great comic. You should definitely check it out. And the more success that Jeff Lemire has, I'm all down for it. The last one in this drawer, number 31. Alright guys, so that is my What's in the Drawer video. If you'd enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe. As always, I'm Brock, the curly man behind Curly Man's Comics, signing off.